How's everybody enjoying New York Vet? That was terrible. That was like it's the end of the day terrible. Like we have a pyometra to do tonight. How's everybody enjoying New York Vet? There we go. That's what I'm like. So my name is Dr. Adam Chrisman. I'm the co-chief of staff of Bricktown Veterinary Hospital. I'm also honored to be the treasurer for the New Jersey Board of Veterinary Medical Association, the NJVMA. I'm a Disney fanatic, so some of you saw me give a little talk about putting the Disney into our practice. But what we're talking about today is some really exciting information, you guys. Just trying to sort all this noise that we're hearing about CBD. Can I get an amen? Amen. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Raise the roof. So there's a lot of information that's out there, and there's a lot of legality that's also out there too. And depending on the state that you're in, makes it a little bit of a challenge to either discuss, recommend, or dispense CBD oil, right? But we look like idiots in the exam room because we have our pet parents that say, hey, what do you think of this? And we're like, I don't know. Let's talk about a dental. Right? So, we try to, let's make some sense of it and have a little bit more confidence. And from a legality standpoint, I have a slide that talks about it though, but the 2018 Farm Animal Amendment that happened not that long ago, just this past year, has enabled us to have a little bit better conversation and talking about CBD oil to our pet parents. Depending on the state, for example, I live in New Jersey, and right now we can't legally stock it on our shelves, but if we had a pet parent that talked to me about it, then I'd be more than happy to talk to them and provide them some information and even guide them to a proper source. And that's what we're here to learn about, right? What was it all about? Does it work? And where can I direct these pet parents to go to? Not necessarily if you need to discuss it or dispense it, but just get some information on it. And CBD oil is a very broad spectrum, right? And we have Dr. Google that's out there, and we're going against all these different forces that are out there. We have Dr. Google, we have a friend, we have a family that has used CBD oil on themselves, so why not try it on the animal? No, completely different, right? What's the reason why? Anybody shout it out. Why shouldn't we put human CBD oil on our pets? 3 letters, THC, right? No, absolutely. So we want to make sure that we have a veterinary approved CBD oil for our fur babies out there. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. Oh, here we are. The ABCs on CBD a little bit. So I just did a basic Google search on CBD, and look what comes up. If we're confused as veterinarians, what do our pet parents think about, right? I mean, what's this full spectrum? What's this isolate? What's 0% THC? What is all of this, right? So we have to kind of make sense of it because they pay for our services to get the information that they need. So right now we're all probably thinking, I just can't. It's too much. What's this CBD, CBC, CBG? What are these things called terpenes and flavonoids and phytocannabinoids, THC, full spectrum versus isolate? We're going to cover a little bit of that so I could show you and tell you. One thing to take in consideration is, has anybody been familiar with the endocannabinoid system that occurs in our bodies, right? It's present, it's all in vertebrates. And so when you hear CBD, it's just talking about one particular isolate of an umbrella term of so many different phytocannabinoids that are out there. And we're all here because we know it works. So what is CBD? So it's one of 80 cannabinoids that are found in plants. There's over 100 that are found, and 80 found in animals. And in 2018, there is the Farm Animal Bill where industrial hemp plant versus marijuana plant. So it's important to know that hemp is not CBD, and less than 0.3% of the psychoactive compound of THC is on the label to be known as what is CBD. Less than 0.3%. That's still long-term side effects. We don't know what the effects of that are, but 0.3%, that's still a little iffy, right? Because a little bit, that's 3 milligrams per ml. That's a good amount that could get cumulative effects over time. And so there's laws that are governing the different laws. So there's marijuana, which is a Schedule I controlled substance, which we know about. It's legal in Colorado. And we know that you need just to check with your individual state in terms of the legalities associated with it, okay? This is something that you should take a picture of, because this is what you should know. When we extract materials from our hemp plant, majority of it is what's known as inactive medium chain triglycerides. So some of it doesn't do stuff, but then we have this large amount that's referred to as the phytocannabinoids. And within there are three umbrella terms. So the flavonoids, terpenoids, and the cannabinoids, okay? So just keep that in mind. So when you study back in vet school, right, you always did like these charts, these pie charts. And so when I had to learn this, I was thinking phytocannabinoids, flavonoids, terpenoids, and the cannabinoids. Flavonoids we're probably familiar with, right? We know that eating a lot of the flavonoid-rich foods, such as vegetables, fruits, herbs, spices, they offer amazing health benefits to them. And so it kind of gives that aroma to that smell that you know or that are associated with the hemp plant. And the flavonoids, their conditions are known for anti-inflammatory, antioxidant properties to the cannabis. There's 21 flavonoids identified from the hemp plant, and there's cannabinoids A, B, and C. These are potent COX-2 enzyme inhibitors. When you think of this, what are you guys thinking of? Inflammation, right? You think of the COX-2 inhibitor class category that's out there. So you see these kind of flavonoids have an association in reducing prostaglandin E2 as well as reducing inflammation. What about the terpenoids? Big one, big one. These are organic compounds found within the protective function to the hemp plant. They're lipophilic, so they can cross the blood-brain barrier, which is great for our issues for seizure controls. They contribute to the medicinal benefits of cannabis. Black pepper is known to be a great terpenoid, so if you look at products that have black pepper in them, that's a really good product that has that in there. And beta-caryophyllene. This is a really big one that we see associated with reducing anxiety and seizures, and there's reducing the seizure threshold that we see in practice often. Okay, this is another one you should take a picture of. The cannabinoids, this is the umbrella term, right? So when you think of all the cannabinoids, you have a pet parent that says, I want to get CBD. This is what we as veterinarians should be listening to. Oh, sorry, getting your way. This is what we should be associating with. So we have THC out there, we have CBC, we have CBD, we have TRPV1, CBDV, and CBG. Quite a few. And you know what, you guys? They do so much stuff in helping with pain, anxiety, inflammation, and seizures. So we'll go through a few of those. So the primary indications for it: analgesia for acute and chronic pain. Chronic pain I want to bring to your attention because it's really hard nowadays addressing chronic pain in our fur babies. We know that tramadol, right? Amantadine, high doses, gabapentin as well. So good for nociceptive, visceral, somatic, and neuropathic effects. So quite a bit in terms of the pain. As well as CNS disease. There's a paper that's coming out. I'll show you some of the information on it in a moment. But on intracranial disease, epilepsy, but degenerative myelopathy. If you have animals that are presenting for degenerative myelopathy, there should be a discussion of the use of CBD oil for something like this. And you know that degenerative myelopathy, you guys, is a tough one. It's a tough one. If there's anything that we could do to help reduce and aid in the production or decrease the inflammation of that poor myelin sheath, we could. And then neoplasia, primary tumor burden, metastatic disease, nausea, and vomiting. Okay. So there's a cumulative effect that I want to talk to you guys about, and it's something called the entourage effect. And this is the reason why that full spectrum is really important to understand versus an isolate. When you have this full spectrum of CBD, you're getting all those different cannabinoids in that bottle, all of them, depending on the strength and concentration, bioavailability, of course. But this is what we want to see. The CBD, we want to see less than 0.3% on the THC, or when it says 0% or THC free on the bottle, we want to make sure that's not there. THC, CBG, CBN, CBC, THC, and CBD. I mean, the common pet parent may not know this, but when they bring a bottle to your practice and you want to look, you can ask for the third-party analysis, which I'll show you, but this is what you should be seeing that can contribute to that entourage effect, that feeling of reducing pain, inflammation, and anxiety. So this is where we want to target, right there. So think of that umbrella term that we were looking at, the phytocannabinoids, the terpenes, the flavonoids. If we get all of that, you guys, we're hitting that entourage effect in a nice, safe, and effective way. So that's what you want to look for. When you're looking for products that have the CBD oil, you want to look for something that has that entourage effect, okay? So hemp, remember, is not the same as CBD. This could be anything, and we don't know. So unless you get it for, it says therapeutic grade, it's 5,000 milligrams of hemp blend, but we don't really know exactly what's in there. But we, as consumers, this sounds good, right? This looks good, but it's most likely it's not. It's not good. This is not what we want for our veterinary patients, for our animals, excuse me. So the full spectrum versus isolate. The full is really what we're looking for. It's the benefits from the whole plant promoting that entourage effect. The isolate, on the other hand, it's extracted from the hemp plant, and the drug is pure CBD and nothing else. So we want that 1 + 1 = 3 effect. Does that make sense? Like you get more bang for your buck with all those other phytocannabinoids that you see, plus the flavonoids and terpenes that are associated with it. So you really get a good effect with it. There's a lot of work that's being done on analytical cannabis too. So there's a website that launches the analysis and third-party analysis of the CBD. So there's a lot of good work that's being done out there that helps us make sure that we can make the best decision. So in the community, we're all over the place, right? Efficacy requires consistent concentration of cannabinoid in the product. There's FDA warning letters that are addressing the accuracy of labels. Some of these products don't claim to be what they are. And then some of them, they will come to your practice and they'll say, it's not working. Well, we don't even know it's working because we don't even know what's in the product. So how do we not even know, right? So we have to make sure that we know exactly what is in that product so it's best for our patients. So that's where it's important to, one, find the product that works and also has that third-party analysis that I'll talk about in a second. And also free contamination is the other thing. So you'll see this a lot. If you look at products, you'll see THC free. So that's less than 3 milligrams per ml, and that's a cumulative problem. In other words, it may not be fine now, but in the long term, we don't really know what the results would be associated with a dog consistently being on, say, a hemp product of THC free at 3 mg per ml, that's less than 3 mg per ml. That could be consumed to the cytochrome P450 liver enzyme system. That's what we get worried about, hepatotoxicosis. So that's a big issue that we worry about. So therapeutic full spectrum, you get a blend of them all. Okay? So here's a recent paper discussing the broader spectrum of hemp extracts that are more effective in reducing seizures than CBD pure extracts. A lot of these studies, this one's coming out of Colorado, there's one that's one that everyone refers to as the Cornell study, but there's a lot more papers that are being done in veterinary medicine that's showing really good research that's helping reduce, this one for example, is in seizures. So let me just go over a few of the phytocannabinoids with you so you guys are familiar with them and maybe can explain them to your team a little bit more when you go home. CBG is a big one. It's cannabidiol. It's a GABA inhibitor. So if you think of the GABA inhibitors, this is where your benzos, your phenobarbitols are hitting, right? It's also a TRPM8 receptor antagonist. It's anti-inflammatory. 5-HT1 receptor desensitization. Where have you heard that before? It's where Serenia works. So interesting, right? So it's got a little anti-emetic properties too. And it's anti-neoplastic on 2 receptors, metastatic disease prevention and tumor reoccurrence. There's been some work done with feline mammary adenocarcinoma, and there's a study that's currently going on. Hopefully there'll be some promising results about that where you get dirty margins, and the use of CBD full spectrum in cats should help minimize the spread of mammary adenocarcinoma that's known on the human side that it's working, which is pretty cool. CBC is non-psychoactive. We use this one, it's associated a lot with neuropathy, and we know that neuropathies are difficult to manage. So why not use a full spectrum isolate versus an isolate that can help manage those neuropathies? It's anti-inflammatory, anti-neoplastic, and antimicrobial too. There's been some work done on MRSA on the human side with CBD full spectrum. CBD is the one that we're all familiar with. That's non-psychoactive. It's CB1 and CB2. Neuropathic pain, general seizure disorders, anti-neoplastic, and anti-anxiety. So this is, if you just get a simple isolate of CBD, this is what you're looking at here, versus getting the full spectrum. Does that make sense? So you get all those phytocannabinoids associated with it. CBDV is non-psychoactive. This is a TRPV1, 3, 4 receptor antagonist. Neuropathic pain, general seizure disorders, GI anti-inflammatory, and centrally mediated anti-nausea and anti-emetic. It's interesting because this works also on the chemoreceptor trigger zone, again, for anti-nausea. I find it interesting in some of the patients that I have dealt with that have going through chemotherapy. It works really nice synergistically for those dogs that have that vomiting feeling with it. So just a side note from my experience. Beta-caryophyllene is my personal favorite. It has selective CB2 binding, but this is really good, you guys, for neuropathic pain. So allodynia and hyperalgesia. These are things that we have a very difficult type of pain to control, right? And also with cognitive dysfunction. On the human side, with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, there's a lot of research that's being done on this in particular. So make sure you look for a product that has beta-caryophyllene in it, okay? Because that is one that's really good. It's stimulated apoptosis, so programmed cell death, tumor growth depression. And then also the receptor targets too. So TRPV1 receptors, there's multiple receptors that are associated with it. So CBD binds to the TRPV1 receptor, influences pain perception. There's a product by that's called Phytomax, and capsaicin is in Phytomax that activates this TRPV1 receptor, and it binds to what's called the bliss molecule, so it makes them feel nice and comfortable and free from pain. So helps reduce stress and seizures. I don't have enough time to talk about this one, but one thing that I do, a take-home message on this is that what's really cool, you guys, on CBD is look where it's targeting, the presynaptic neurons. That's a huge deal. Think about what we can do in terms of targeting pain and modulation. The presynaptic neurons, we're not even dealing with the synaptic cleft and the postsynaptic. So a lot of your pain medications are dealing in the postsynaptic cleft. Here we have presynaptic. That's pretty promising. So that's all you got to learn from that slide. So here's a good summary of the receptor targets. So this gives you into the pharmacology of it. So decreases glutamate production, decreases pain, increases dopamine release and production, increases the production of GABA, so pain control and better seizure control, mu receptors, spinal and supraspinal analgesia, where you don't have that cerebellum associated with it, so there's not that addiction association that you can see with some of the opioids. And big one is the 5-HT1 and NK1 receptor antagonist, so it's got that antiemetic on the chemoreceptor trigger zone. So talk about game changer, you guys. You're looking at it. 2020 will be the game changer for this. This is going to be the one. It's the year for it. So we know indications for use: neuropathic pain, seizures disorders, anxiety, oncology applications. There's been some work done with primary tumor burden, metastatic disease such as mammary gland adenocarcinomas, nausea. It helps with dirty margins. How many of those growths that you take off that you're like, owners are on a fixed income, for example, they can't go to the surgeon, and you have to do it, and you let them know, and you set those expectations up, and you say, listen, this is a tough area on the lateral aspect of a thigh, maybe a sarcoma, my margins might be dirty, I'm gonna send you home with some of this. I would like to send you home with some of this. Oh, what's that, you recommended, you talked about it? That's right, because it's a whole legality thing. This is something that we should look into, because I've seen, from what I've noticed, some good results with it, with dirty margins that are happening with sarcomas. So again, with clients that are on fixed incomes, for whatever reason, can't go through chemo or radiation therapy, it's a nice added thing to consider for your cancer patients. So there's a lot of studies that are out there. This one's a randomized, blinded, controlled clinical trial to assess the effect of oral cannabinoid administration in addition to conventional anti-epileptic treatment on seizure frequencies in dogs with intractable idiopathic epilepsy. So, big one. So a lot of papers are being done now on the veterinary side. Thank goodness they finally are being done, because it's catching up to the human side. But how many of you guys have animals that are uncontrolled on seizures? Raise your paw. It's tough. You have patients that can't get regulated, whether it be keppra, zonisamide, phenobarbital, you name it. Sometimes they're in retractable seizure. You got to put them under anesthesia just to get them out of it. But going forward, looking at something that's cost-effective, safe, and that works, you're looking at something, CBD in general. So there's another paper that's on the upregulation of CB2 receptors in reactive astrocytes in degenerative myelopathy, you guys. Degenerative myelopathy. Finally, there's some work that's getting done on a condition that's pretty serious. So there's that. And then this is another one on the human side that's being hopefully replicated on the cat side, anti-tumor activity of plant cannabinoids with the emphasis of the effect of cannabis oil on human breast carcinoma. So again, one of those areas where it's associated with dirty margins and so forth. So how do we find a product for it, or what products would you recommend? And there's several that are out there that are great. One of them that I would consider is this one. This is called Phytomax. This is a premium full spectrum hemp extract. This has, and they could talk to you more at the booth. I believe they're somewhere. Are they right behind me? Oh yeah, they're right here. Animal Nutrition Products is right here behind me. There's, from what clients have told me, that this is something that has worked really well for them. So in terms of cost efficacy, the customer service PS is very good. So there's that one to definitely consider. And a word on the capsaicin is that it's an active component of chili peppers, and it's a TRP1, PV1 receptor antagonist, so it's also good for pain relief and neuropathy. So if you see capsaicin in a product, that's a good one. It's a good one. So, okay. The final thing is I want you guys to know is THC. There's at least 5 molecules of THC, you guys, not just one. So there's another umbrella term to 5 different types of THC. So you want to see that THC-free label, less than 0.3% of THC, or 3 mg per ml, a cumulative effect. In dogs, 10 times greater conversion to the active form is toxicity. So you can have, God forbid you have a dog that drank a bottle of CBD oil, a small dog, let's say, for example, you worry about hepatotoxicity. Or some of you probably experienced, some of your patients may have come in with marijuana toxicity or from vaping from their pet parents, right? And it's a big thing because you worry about this. This is the big thing about liver issues. And so it can be deadly. And it's lipophilic and bioaccumulative, so it could stay in there for a while. So the summary on that is THC-free may not be truly THC-free. So how do you select the right product? These are 2 things you guys should look for as medical professionals. Demand the company to look at their testing. So they should have a third-party vending analysis done. So, and they should look for all 5 of those THC molecules. So it's something that now that you know a little bit more about it, it shouldn't just say, well, it's 0% THC. Show me those 5 molecules. I want to make sure that there's less than 0.3% of an additive effect of those 5 molecules. And then screen for contaminants, of course. So here are some companies that are third-party analysis that you may see associated with it, whether it be ProVerde, Alchemist, or Eurofins. I think those tend to be the 3 companies that I see associated. I don't know if there's another one. I might be wrong if there's a 4th one, but those are companies that are excellent for third-party analysis. So the first level of screening is you want it to be THC-free. And so those are the ones that you see here in the box are the 5. So Delta 8, Delta 9, THCV, whatever it is. So you want to make sure that if they have any of them, the total is greater than 0.02% detected, they fail that product. Even though it may say on the label THC-free, you do a third-party analysis and you look this up, they fail that product, okay? The second level of screening is contaminants. So you want it to be free of microbiology, pesticides, herbicides, and heavy metals, because it depends on where the plant comes from too. So you want it to also make sure. And a majority of them that do these third-party analysis tend to be fine, but you just want to make sure that it is screened for those contaminants, free of those. So look at the current meds, you guys. Tramadol, amantadine, gabapentin. I use them almost every day on our patients, just like you guys. We know tramadol is a short half-life. It's not really acceptable pain control right now in dogs, as we know, and now it's a controlled drug. You worry about that and abuse, of course. It's okay for cats. Amantadine, it's a short half-life, and it has to be used usually with another analgesic. I like using amantadine with another CBD, potentially, so that gets a nice cumulative effect. So with like Phytomax, for example. Gabapentin has a short half-life, but high doses are needed to be effective. We usually dose it at a 20 mg per kg every 8 hours at a high dose for neuropathic and acute pain, so it's pretty high for that. And then what our fur babies and pet parents deserve is they want something that's safe, efficacious, so like a low dose, lasts longer, and a prolonged half-life. So you look at these bottles, and you got a Great Dane. There's no way that a Great Dane is going to use one bottle. You're setting them up for failure right then and there, right? But you got a Chihuahua, you might want to consider, the one bottle will be fine, but you want to look at the concentration and the strength of that. Quality, purity, transparency, THC, and contaminant free. So if you ever want more information, one of the products that I like over here is right behind me, Animal Nutrition Products. There, wave guys, there they are. So they can give you some more information, but also I want to reemphasize, look at something that says the entourage effect that supports immune and endocannabinoid system. You want that 1 + 1 = 3 effect, if that makes sense, okay? So hopefully we're no longer canna confused to canna can. If you can. Thank you everybody, thank you so much.